Okay guys, I think it's time we talk about the Miami Heat once again, because it kind of annoys me how every single season, like, people are overreacting saying, oh, the Miami Heat are very low in the Eastern Conference, it's not going to work out in the playoffs, this team doesn't have another star with Jimmy Butler, the Eastern Conference is too loaded for the Miami Heat to go any further. All of these notions are completely wrong, and in today's video, I'm going to tell you why the Miami Heat are still contenders. And guys, this opinion is going to come from a non-biased Toronto Raptors fan. So I'm just going to tell you everything in today's video. We're going to be going over every single player on the Miami Heat and why I think this team is still solid. Before we get any further, make sure you guys hit that like button and that subscribe button. We're almost at 11,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Let's get right into today's video. So we're going to talk about the 5 players that need to step up on the Miami Heat. And number 1 starts off with Tyler Herro. I think Tyler Herro is the main person on the Miami Heat that actually has to step up. Last season, he had injuries that actually prevented him to come on the court during the playoffs. But last season, Tyler Herro averaged 20 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 4.2 assists. But this season, it looks a lot different. Tyler Herro is going out there and averaging 26 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 5 assists. I say this every year for every single team. The teams have to have patience these days, because what are you going to do? Go ahead, trade for Damian Lillard and potentially give away a young star like Tyler Herro? I think these trade rumors really gave Tyler Herro a wake-up call, because it never sits well with a player when you say you're going to trade them away for another star player like Damian Lillard. And another thing I think Tyler Herro has added to his bag is playmaking. And a good example was the last game he had against the Wizards, where he had 9 assists. And especially with Gabe Vincent away from the Heat roster, it's very important to have Tyler Herro turning into that playmaker, especially when Kyle Lowry is not out there on the floor. Even last year, guys, I predicted that the Miami Heat would go far if Bam Adebayo stepped up, but it's a little bit different this year. We don't need Bam to step up. We absolutely need Tyler Herro to step up. This brings me on to the second player that has to step up for the Miami Heat. And I've been saying this all the time. Everybody says, oh, Jimmy Butler is not a regular season player. And you are not wrong. Jimmy does not care about the regular season. You know, his stats don't say that right now. But when it turns into playoff time, you can almost expect this guy to go out there and give you buckets. Right now, Jimmy Butler isn't playing too good. He's shooting only 40% from the field, and he's averaging 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. But any NBA fan knows that this man is not trying. He does not care. Even this in-season tournament stuff, he could give 2 craps about what's going on. But when it comes playoff time, let's hope that Jimmy Butler can go back into that 27 points per game player that he was for the last 2 years in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler is the least of my worries on this Miami Heat team. Now let's move on to the third player that has to step up on the Miami Heat, and in my opinion, this is Kyle Lowry. Lowry is the starting point guard on the Miami Heat. He's getting a bit old, and my question here is injury management. Can he stay healthy for the whole season? Like, what's the plan with Kyle Lowry? And the more important thing is, can he become that guy that can score 15 points per game in the playoffs and not just turn into a guy that scores like 3 points or 6 points, a couple of 3-pointers, and just calls it a night? Because if the Heat want to win a championship, they can't have Kyle Lowry averaging 9 points in the playoffs. If anything, if he could go out there and give you 12 plus points in the playoffs, even that would be good. Currently, in the first 5 games of the regular season for the Miami Heat, Kyle Lowry is averaging 5.5 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 4.7 assists per game. Although those numbers aren't too bad, you need Kyle Lowry to step up a little bit more, because technically, if you think about it, the Miami Heat are putting so much pressure on Kyle Lowry to be that starting point guard on their roster when he's actually getting a lot older than he was. You know, this isn't the old Kyle Lowry that we all know and love. So I was pretty surprised when I saw that the Miami Heat didn't really get a good enough backup point guard or, you know, addressed any Gabe Vincent problems. I think they were just targeting Damian Lillard a lot, and that really got them too wound up in those talks. And when you get too deep into talks for superstars and they don't work out, well, you're in a very weird, sticky situation when it comes to free agency, and you won't even get to sign anyone. So let's move on to the fourth player that has to step up on the Miami Heat, and this is Bam Adebayo. You know, Bam is a player that I always expect to play good. In the playoffs against the New York Knicks, The guy's post game was elite. I made a lot of film breakdowns on those, and I think that he's going to become a very good player this season. He's starting off the season incredibly well in my opinion, averaging 21.4 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. As the season goes along and Bam Adebayo gets more comfortable with the role he's in right now, him and Jimmy Butler are going to be running that two-man game like they were running in the playoffs, and everything's going to be fine. But my problem with Bam Adebayo isn't because of his skill set, it's because of his frame. When the Heat were going against the Denver Nuggets, the matchup between Jokic and Bam Adebayo was pretty much a one-sided battle. And now when Bam has to come up against the Joel Embiids of the world, against the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo and Brook Lopez, it's going to be very hard to deal with those tall players like Giannis, especially since Giannis has Damian Lillard now to run pick and rolls with. I'm sure you got Thomas Bryant there. He's a pretty big guy to go out there and address those length issues. But I think the Miami Heat need this insurance card when it comes to big man, because at the end of the day, you need length in this league. And what happens when Bam Adebayo unfortunately gets injured? You know, injuries happen every single year and you need to have backup plans. But don't get me wrong, Bam Adebayo has actually went out there, defended Giannis, defended Embiid, and made it out the playoffs and went to the finals against the Nuggets. But my whole point is, why can't the Miami Heat give Bam Adebayo some help on that big man? Now let's move on to the final player that has to step up for the Miami Heat, but this time it's not a player, it's the bench. And in my opinion, starts off with Duncan Robinson. You know, Duncan Robinson played an amazing game against the Washington Wizards. He had 18 points, 6 assists, and a rebound. So it's very important to have Duncan Robinson going out there shooting 40% from the three-point line, because when you have screens being set from Bam, off-ball screens, and Duncan can come out there and connect on the threes, it's going to make it even harder to guard Jimmy, Bam, Tyler Herro, which makes his team very potent on the offensive side. And if Duncan Robinson can learn to facilitate the ball a little bit more like he did last night against the Washington Wizards, he had 6 assists, it's going to make it even more deadly. And then you got players like Jamie Jaquez Jr., a rookie that's going to pick up on players like Kevin Love and use him as a mentor. You also got Richardson coming off there. I think Richardson's really going to be everything the Heat wanted Victor Oladipo to be. Unfortunately, Oladipo is dealing with a lot of injuries. Then probably one of my more favorite players on the Miami Heat, we got Highsmith. Highsmith is absolutely insane in my opinion. In the playoffs, he was playing lockdown defense, and I think that once he gets back to that, it's going to be wraps for the Miami Heat. And to finish this video off, we got 2 players, Nikola Jovic and Kevin Love. Kevin Love I didn't really talk about in this video because we all know what he can provide, spacing out the floor, playing solid defense, and most importantly, throwing those full court passes to Jimmy Butler. We also got Nikola Jovic, who can have a very big role in this roster in the regular season. He's going to have to prove himself, show everybody that he's a sniper from three-point, which I think he is. I think he's going to become that player that the Miami Heat really want him to become. I can go on about this team for friggin' hours, but I'm not going to do that. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you smash that like button, absolutely demolish the like button, and hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. That's been all for your boy Mubsy Hoops. I will catch you guys in the next one.
Ain't no steal, I'm fucking with your hustle. Like Russell Westbrook with the triple doubles, I'm a